Good afternoon, all the members of the Buddha's family. At the request of the Venerable Shimon Sayadaw, you have to keep waiting long because Sayadaw wished to interpret only at the full length of his speech, not be interrupted. 1 hour's Dhamma talk in Burmese now I will going to summarize in a half hour. And what Venerable Shimon Sayadaw said is that in today's morning, the chief presiding Sayadaw has pointed out the tradition of the mindfulness practice, which was handed down from the time of the Buddha to date through many wonderful teachers, committed meditators, and the real Dhamma practitioners. Through mindfulness practice, they have attained peace and happiness and free from destruction, defilements, and unhappiness, and every kind of mental sufferings. Buddha said in the beginning of the Mahasatirana Sutta discourse, the outstanding benefits of the practice. These are like the unique qualities of the practice, which prove themselves. Which prove themselves mean that when you practice with a consistent and continual mindfulness, the result will manifest itself. You don't need to wish for them. You don't need to aspire them. You don't need to pray for them. The benefits itself will come up. Of these outstanding benefits said by the Buddha in the Mahasatirana Sutta discourse, the first one is called the Visuddhi, for purity of the mind. What does it mean? In our daily life, our mind is always distracted and always agitated and always shaken by defilements, emotions. Sometimes we may feel upset, we may feel sorry, sometimes we may feel disappointed and confused. This is like everyday pattern of the mind. The mind constantly being polluted by those mental pollutants, those impurities of the mind. When one practices meditation with dedications and consistent mindfulness, one's mind will gain tranquility, stability, and purity, slowly and moment by moment. This will happen not immediately, but surely with a strong commitment and consistent observation, consistent and sustained practice of mindfulness. This purity of the mind is very wonderful benefit available through the mindfulness meditation. Keeping the mind pure by other means is almost impossible. If we want to keep the mind pure, we have to apply the mind. To promote mental purity, you have to apply the mind. This mind is not ordinary mind. Mindfulness, the quality mind, developed through mindfulness meditation. When the mind becomes stable and strong, and it will be able to withstand the influence of the sorrow, influence of anger, influence of the mental emotions. And Sri Mahansara has pointed out one wonderful incident, not happened in times of the Buddha, but in his own time. A few years ago, one yogi came to practice meditation at his center. That yogi, when she started practicing meditation, for the first week, she just keep crying herself. Tears always come up. But nobody inquire about it. They just leave it alone. And that lady has very sad and tragic incident happened to her daughter, a teenage daughter, who is very serious to practice meditation. That daughter requests the mother and the father to let her go to the center and practice meditation for a few weeks, especially in the school holidays. School holidays in Burma are usually in the summer and are about the end of the March, when there are all the college entrance examinations are finished. Most teenagers, they may go on the vacation or sightseeing, or some teenagers, they come to the meditation center to practice meditation. That family is not really interested in practice of meditation. They are like the traditional Buddhist family. They just only want to offer charity, they just want to practice morality, taking 5 precepts or sometimes 8 precepts. They don't interest in meditation. So also, they are very reluctant to let their daughter practice meditation because they have some bad experience. Some people, when they meditate, they are not successful. Sometimes they have some untoward incidents happen to some people in very rare case. So they don't want such kind of thing happen to their daughter. So they just keep postponing. Whenever the daughter requests to let her practice meditation, they just say, okay, next week, next day, and then they persuade her to go on the travel, touring around the country and seeing the pagodas and visiting this and that place for a few weeks. They go together when the school examinations are finished. They go together, and once they come back from the trip, and the girls keep requesting to let her go to the practice, to the center and to practice meditation. But the mother still doesn't want her daughter to practice meditation. But in order to convince her, they promise, we will let you practice meditation, and we're now going to the center and enroll your name and in the yogis meditators group. They guarantee her they will let you practice meditation. But unfortunately, a few days before she go to the center, she's going to the center to practice meditation, a very tragic thing happened. On that day, she just want to she want to visit one of her friends. So after getting permission, she go out. And while she is out, and she got into a tragic accident, a car accident, and then she died on the spot. After absolute rites are performed, that mother, she decided to practice meditation on behalf of her daughter. So that's how she came to the center, but nobody knows about that. And Srimon Sayadaw, seeing that yogi, tearful, with a tearful eye, after a few days, start giving instruction. Sayadaw start giving that yogi the instruction. Keep your mind at the present, watch whatever thoughts come up, and be mindful of that thoughts and let it go. You have to be focused on that, whatever thought arises. This way it will help you progress. So the yogi followed the instruction. Very detailed, mindful observation of all the bodily manners, all the mental states. She even followed very mindful walking. And slowly she progressed. Later on, when her practice is in more advanced progressive state, she can maintain continuous mindfulness all the time. Thus, enabling her to overcome sorrow and grief over tragic death of her daughter, and their persuasion not to practice. So when she finished her meditation retreat, she explained her situation. One day I came to this center to pay back my great debt. And what kind of great debt? Sayadaw asked. My great debt to my daughter, who requests me again and again repeatedly to let her go to practice meditation. But both father and mother always postpone, telling her this and that, and then she died. Then they are very devastated. And even when she starts practicing meditation, the sad thoughts always come back. So she is very sorry and very sad. Later on, with the right guidance of the Sayadaw, she was able to overcome and progress. This is how mental pain, such extreme grief, have been over the tragic situation, are removed. And she overcome that grief only through mindfulness meditation. As Buddha said in the introduction of the discourse, the first benefit is purity of the mind, making the mind strong and stable, and so that it can overcome, it can withstand the power of the defilement, the power of emotion. This is the first benefit. The second benefit is to overcome grief and sorrow. This second benefit is very clear from this tragic incident happened to that lady. She overcome her grief and she overcome her crying. That's what Buddha said. The second benefit is to overcome grief. The third benefit is to overcome crying. Crying is in Pali called the prideva. Prideva means sounding out. Sounding out means when one crying, the sound comes out, very sad sound comes out. This is called the Prithiva. And the third benefit of mindfulness meditation is to overcome crying. Because one is able to watch one's sadness coming up in the mind, and that meditator with a strong mindfulness skill will be able to observe that sad feeling and that grief, so that he will be able to practically overcome this. So what Buddha said in the initial phase of the discourse is true and self-evident. Now, let me explain what Venerable Srimon said. And the fourth benefit is to overcome the physical suffering. There is a very wonderful story about very famous meditation teacher in the USA, in the West. His name is called Joseph Goldstein. Joseph Goldstein is not an ordinary person. He is the student of the many well-known teachers from India, also from Thailand, and also from Burma, Mahasi Sayadaw and Sonlun Sayadaw. He practiced meditation intensively in a very intensive retreat. Now he has a very big center in the East Coast of the USA, known as Insight Meditation Society. He is the founder of that center. Nowadays, every time there are many yogis, hundreds of yogis come. Most yogis, they are even on waiting list to be admitted into the retreat. So Joseph, about 30 years ago, came back again to pay respect to the Mahasi Sayadaw with a group of people. During that time, Burmese government, military governments allowed only 7 days visa. So you can imagine how inconvenient it will be for them to come on a 1 week visa. They just come and they stay, and it's quite short. When they arrive at the Mahasi Meditation Center headquarters, they cannot find the Sayadaw because Mahasi Sayadaw is in Mandalay. So they fly to Mandalay and they come to the Seiman Meditation Center where Sayadaw is staying. At that center too, they cannot find Mahasi Sayadaw because the Great Venerable Sayadaw is in his native village in Sekwang, where he is giving Dhamma talk and retreat to a large number of people from the nearby village. So Joseph and his group, they just come by a chartered bus arranged by the management board of the Seiman Meditation Center. They arrived at the Sekwang around the same time, like 3 o'clock. During that time, Sayadaw is giving Dhamma talk to a large number of people, maybe many thousands, mostly people from the rural areas. The monastery compound is a very big one. Joseph and his group and Dayaka cannot get closer to the monastery because there are a lot of people, so they have to come on foot. And Srimon Sayadaw during that time is personal assistant. He has been personal assistant of the Sayadaw for many years until the final hour of the Sayadaw. So during that time, Srimon Sayadaw is working as a personal assistant. So he informed the Sayadaw that the Americans led by Joseph Goldstein are coming to pay respect. And how Sayadaw asked him, are they going to be here for the night? One day not. They have no time. They have to go back. Okay, let them come, said the Sayadaw. Then Joseph and group came and paid respect to the Sayadaw. And having paid respect to the Sayadaw, they sat down. And Joseph, he started introducing himself and also introducing with his group to the Sayadaw and explaining about each one in the group. One of the person in that group is a businessman That businessman is going through a lot of bad situation, a lot of suffering, because his business failed. His business failed. He lost everything. He doesn't want to continue to live in this human life. He even think to commit suicide. This is how his suffering is great. He want to terminate his life, to escape from all this, thinking that this is the best and the quickest way to be free from the suffering. But he has second thoughts to go and seek something, seek some help. So luckily he came to the center where Mr. Joseph is conducting a retreat. He practiced meditation under the guiding of Joseph. And then he start progressing in his practice. Slowly his mind became peaceful and stable. He was able to watch his mental anguish, his mental pain over the loss of his business, over the failure of everything in life. So he overcame all this. And he regained his composure and mental peace. And he felt grateful to not only Joseph and to the practice. Then Joseph said, don't be grateful to me, you just only be grateful to the Dharma. Also my teacher who taught this mindfulness meditation. Then his student, that businessman, asked, who is that teacher? That Guruji. And then Joseph answered, my Guruji is Mahasi Sayadaw. Oh, I would like to see and pay respect to such a wonderful person who taught such a wonderful teaching. I would like to see him. That's why they came. Another person in the group is also going through a lot of the pain and suffering because her marriage fall apart. And she suffered a lot. She cannot find a way out. And later, luckily, she came to practice meditation. And then she regained her peace, her mental peace and happiness. So she feels very much grateful to the practice and to the teacher. That's how they came to, in the group, to pay respect to the Mahasi Sayadaw, to express their gratitude, to pay their profound respect to the Sayadaw. And then, Joseph himself explained experience of each person in the group. And then Sayadawji let Joseph speak to the audience. And through interpreter, Joseph explained about how wonderful it is. That mindfulness is very wonderful gift. Very wonderful gift of the Buddha. Very wonderful gift of the Mahasi Sayadaw. Very wonderful gift of the Myanmar to be shared with everyone in the world. This is a really inspiring talk said by Srimon Sayadaw. And now, let me translate what he said. There's another incident happened in the Shwebu, at a very well-known town in Upper Burma, and near the Sikhon. In that town, there's a businessman who owns rice mill and other mills. One day, all his material wealth went up in flame when his home and the rice mill are burned by the fire. The fire, within a few minutes, burned everything. So all his material was gone into the flame. He is totally devastated. Actually, he's almost going to be mad. So his family decided to take that businessman to the Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. During that time, Mahasi Sayadaw is teaching in the Sikhoam village. That businessman, in the beginning, he cannot focus his attention because his law is huge. Everything is gone in the flame. He cannot eat, he cannot enjoy sleep, he cannot think about other things. He just only think about his loss. Then Sayadaw remind him, okay, this is a very wonderful lesson for you. You have to start practicing now. They are very good experience, very good lesson in the form of the material loss. Even the body is going to be perished one day. Before that happens, you have to practice. It is the best way to overcome the feeling of loss, the feeling of suffering. So that businessman obeyed Sayadaw's instruction. He practiced meditation intensively, maintaining his mindfulness. Later he made progress and he regained his composure and mental peace and happiness. Later he overcame, and later he became also a very good person, and also his business also come back with such a peaceful mind. He can start focusing on what he need to do. Venerable Sri Bhimwang Sayadaw encourage you to practice meditation with a confidence, because it is the practice that Buddha himself practiced. The benefits sought by Buddhas are not empty words. They are real. They are self-evident. Now, let me continue to explain other benefits. To overcome physical suffering, to overcome mental suffering. This is already explained. And next benefit is called Nyayasa Adhikmaya, to attain part knowledge and fruition knowledge. That, in simple words, to gain entry into the Nibbana. To gain entry into Nibbana, you have to develop this part knowledge, especially when you are practicing in more advanced state of the progress. This state will be led by the practice itself. No one will bring you there. Your practice itself will lead you there. And you will proceed to that entry point of the Nibbana, and which is real and not imaginary. There are many wonderful enlightened saints, like those explained by the chief Mahasi Sayadaw this morning about the Tilong Sayadaw, who practiced meditation after his friend, the forest monk Khenwa Sayadaw, remind him. Actually, he just only devoted to the teaching of the Buddhist text, to the young monks and to the novice. All his life is very busy, teaching all the time. And then his friend Khenwa Sayadaw came to him and shared his experience with him. He also reminded and advised him to practice meditation. He gave excuse. My friend Khenwa Sayadaw, I'm very, very busy. I have no time. But he expects to see his friend Khenwa Sayadaw again. But Khenwa Sayadaw, after coming and seeing him and reminding him to practice meditation, he left. On that very night, Khenwa Sayadaw passed away. That incident shocked him deeply. So Talong Siaron later gave up his worldly teaching, and then he entered into the forest in order to practice full time with the dedication and strong focus. As a result of consistent practice, he attained his spiritual goal up to the level of the Anagami, the third stage of enlightenment. And by this example, you have to be confident the benefits you can attain in your practice. Through the wonderful teachers such as the Buddhas and many enlightened saints in times of the Buddha, and also the Tilong Siarot, Mingon Siarot, and Mahasi Siarot, and Dambulu Siarot. This mindfulness practice is a time-honored, result-proven practice. You can be confident of the practical result of this practice, although you should not focus on the result. Instead, you should focus on the practice. This way, you will be able to maintain your sustained effort and your continued mindfulness. This way you can progress in your practice. This mindfulness is a very special and unique gift of the Buddha and also of the great teachers. May all of you be able to apply this wonderful gift while you are in this life, while you are alive, while this gift is still on hand. May you be able to practice mindfulness meditation with a dedication and with a sustained effort and with a continuous mindfulness, so that you eventually attain peace and happiness and bliss of nirvana in this very life.